Dear friends, I hope everybody can hear me. It's Tisha B'Av, the 9th day of Av, one of the saddest and most painful days in the Jewish calendar. Out of all the years, we have many fast days and days that we're looking inward and joyful days. Tisha B'Av has a bit of a different tone to it. As Jews everywhere sit on the ground, say lamentations, and share in this heartbreaking day. My name is Rabbi Mordechai Zeller, and we are here at Regel BaKever, 1 foot in the grave, which has been our annual Tisha B'Av event for the past 6 years. And now, for the first time, you are all here joining us in our first English event. What is Regel BaKever? Regel literally means 1 foot, but Regel is a holiday. As we know that we have Shalosh Regalim that we celebrate, the 3 legs of the year, Pesach, Passover, Shavuot, and Sukkot. And these 3 holidays are the 3 legs that we would all gather around. But our rabbis taught that Tisha B'Av, even though it's a sad day, it's a fast day, it is a day that has something hidden within it. It is a day that we lament and we cry and we gather together. But there is a tradition that one day it will be celebrated as a joyous day in the future. There are some traditions to say the Messiah or something redemptive will be born out of this day. And I would like to share with you a little bit about this project and what brought it about as we're all gathering together. And before I introduce to you who is here with us, and Reb Mimi, who will be speaking shortly. We usually think that Tisha B'Av is about the destruction of the temple. We are at the end of 3 weeks of mourning that began with the 17th day of Tammuz. We remember the walls of Jerusalem that came breaking down. I'm a rabbi and a clinical psychologist, and often I see these walls as our defense mechanisms that we put up to protect us from whatever it is out there, from all the things that are hard to stomach and to deal with. And Yud Zayin B'Tammuz symbolizes the breaking down of all of these walls, everything that protected us. It's the breaking of the luchot, the tablets that Moses brought down, which is like the breaking of our heart. And Tisha B'Av is a day that we sit on the ground as if we're in mourning. And my whole life I was taught that we're mourning for the temple. But some of the earliest sources that we will learn shortly, they teach us that it's not just mourning of the temple in Jerusalem, but we are speaking about a mourning which has to do with our own mortality and our own death. There's a tradition that appears in the Shulchan Aruch, in the book of law, that says that people used to go at the end of prayer on Tisha B'Av day to a cemetery, any cemetery, according to some, not to pray at the graves, to be mentioned in the eyes of God, but to remember that we too will die. Any grave, it says, go to any grave to remember how important it is to come in touch with our mortality. And if normally the world we live in, I'll sit in somebody's Shiva call and I hear someone saying, Shelo teda od sa'ar, may you never know more sorrow. And in my head and in my heart, I think, but we will know sorrow because we're human. And being human is about being vulnerable. And being vulnerable is about knowing sorrow. So once a year on Tisha B'Av, I want us to come in touch with that part, with our mortality, with our great fear, with what it means that we are going to die, what it means that we will love the people that are around us and we will lose the people that we love, and to come in touch with that as a way of living our life more deeply. So every year for the past 6 years, we've done this in Hebrew, and now we are doing it in English, because one of the earliest sources that we will learn soon, it's not about the destruction of the temple, but there's a tradition that the children of Israel in the desert would dig a grave for themselves, going to sleep without knowing if they'll wake up the next day. The last 2 years have been difficult for all of us in the world and in Israel. A lot of death around us, to the extent that we even changed the poster that you see in front of you because we thought that people in Israel, and if you're joining us now from Israel, we have so much death around us all the time. And a moment today in the morning and thinking about our hostages and thinking about some of the most difficult footage that we've just seen of someone underground digging his own grave, and how heartbreaking it is and how relevant some of the things that we're doing today. So I would like to invite to speak one of my rebbes and one of my teachers and a dear friend, Rabbi Dr. Reb Mimi Feigelson. And I got to tell you that if there are people who are exploring this idea and this possibility of death and dying in a brave and deep way, with the head of an academic and the heart of a chassid, and a true Rebbe, is Mimi. So Reb Mimi is a pioneer teacher of Hasidic spirituality and Jewish mysticism. She has been a mashpia ruchanit in rabbinic seminaries across all the different denominations. And her book, which will come out soon, titled From Scared to Sacred, has a lot to do with what she'll speak about today. Reb Mimi, thank you for being with us today. And I want to also mention that we have with us today live captions. If anybody needs, all you need to do, go to the bottom of your screen and you have the possibility of adding captions. Sometimes it'll appear where there's a circle that says more, but we have with us Corvin, who is doing live captioning of this entire event. So if you need it, it is available. Thank you very much, and on to you, Reb Mimi.
First and foremost, Reb Mordechai, I want to thank you. I will never forget standing at my Abba's funeral, Alav Shalom, 38 years ago, and across from me, your Abba is standing and holding my heart the whole time. So to come now, to be able to share words of life with you, invited by you, is a gift that I could have never imagined in that moment. And so many amazing people on the screen that I love. And so this is a little bit of I call this Jewish torture, to see you in this way and not be able to hug and touch. And Richa Chamana, Malka de Alma, Ima Ila'a, Divine Mother, one and only, 667 days, 50 hostages. May our learning be for the strength of the souls and bodies of our hostages, for the redemption of God's children. From scared to sacred, on the cusp of life. Life is a movement, a dance, a pendulum, continuously moving between the scared and the sacred. We need the sacred to be able to embrace the scared. And embracing the sacred is indeed scary. As we're invited in the next hour and a quarter to contemplate this sacred time, yet not alone, for we are all here together as a virtual community, seeking wisdom, clarity, and meaning. I'll start with sharing the funeral that changed my life over a decade ago. And from there, we will continue together, regardless of where we are physically in the world and how close or far we are to the end of Tish'a B'Av. One thing we all share, regardless of our time zone, is, as Reb Mordechai, you brought in already in your opening comments, we all woke up this morning in the grave we dug last night. Or could you, like me, after seeing those pictures, not even fall asleep? Ariela crossed over, my word for died, after being on life support for 3 days. She was 19 months old. She changed my life, and I pray that she changes your life as well. Her funeral was officiated by 4 rabbis of different denominations and different life experience in the rabbinate and different genders. So therefore, all of my words are not about denominations and not about gender and not about how many years you have been in the rabbinate. One pains me more than the next. 4 rabbis dressed in black, standing in a row as if a soccer team protecting their goal. The first steps forward and says, "This is a tragedy." And I think to myself, does someone pay dues for this? This is how you sum up the life of a child? A tragedy? The second steps forward and says, "When we have nothing to say, we turn to Psalms." And I think in my heart, and when we do have what to say, we don't turn to Psalms? Is Tehillim there for rabbis that don't know what to say in a given moment? The third chants the generic Tehillim, Kav Gimel 23, Hashem Ro'i Lo Yechsar, in case we forgot that God is our shepherd. And the fourth evokes Aharon's silence after his 2 sons were claimed by God. Yes, claimed by God also could be used for died. For entering the Holy of Holies with a foreign fire, I think to myself, silence, a good intuition. Aharon's sons, a poor proof text for toddlers. And then Ariela's parents stepped forward, dressed in white. Her father speaks of her way in Judaism, as he calls it. He describes her saying Amen after Kiddush and Hamotzi at the Shabbat table. And I cry and I say in my heart, I promise, rabbis, listen. Her father brought her to her own funeral. She had a service. She was in life with every breath that she lived. We can't all say that about ourselves. And when we say Amen this coming Shabbat at our Shabbat table, Ariela's Amen will be echoing ours. Her mother steps forward and says, "I want you to know my daughter has a holy soul." And I scream inside of my heart, rabbis, listen, this child not only has a body, she has a holy soul as well. And then she does something, her mother, that I had never witnessed before. She says, "I stand in front of you, God, and I bow before you, and I thank you for depositing this holy soul in my hands." And she bows and continues, "And I ask you for joy and strength, because I'm a good mother, and my children need a good mother." Both her children were there, 2 children under the age of 10. I am beyond myself. I want to yell out to these rabbis and say, rabbis, look, her father brought her to her funeral. Her mother brought God to her funeral. The ritualizers brought the rabbi's manual. They brought a tragedy and a generic psalm. Her father brings her mother brings God and the future of the family. The next thing I know, they lower her coffin to the ground, and I truly did not know what to do with myself at that moment. Can you bury a toddler the same way you bury an 80-year-old person? Can you bury an 80-year-old who is a Holocaust survivor the way you bury someone who is 5 generations in Israel or the UK or the Americas? When I am blessed with officiating the burial of a Holocaust survivor, I speak of God's miracles and of how when we bury this person, we are also burying all of their relatives that were not buried. Because not figuratively, but literally they carry their relatives' DNA in their bodies. So my God, for Ariela, sing her a lullaby, the lullaby you would sing to her when you put her to sleep. My friend Nachman, over 20 years ago, got into the grave when his and his wife Miriam's 5-year-old son, Yuda Eli, was being buried in Israel. He got into the grave and was handed his son and laid his son down the way he would lay him down in bed after falling asleep in the car. This is how you bury a child. I don't know of any other way. So I ask you, the question at hand right now for us is, do we ask what is being buried? Or do we ask ourselves, who is being buried? The halacha, the Jewish law, gives us explicit guidelines as to how to bury a body, but it is not a sufficient funeral, not felicitous or efficacious. One body is being buried, yet in truth, 5 people died. One woman, a unique individual, a sister, a mother, a wife, a daughter, an aunt, a niece, a best friend. One body, 5 people. Siblings don't even have the same parents, even though the same 2 people birthed them. So my question, who are we burying? I'd like to pose an alternative perspective that is also derived from rabbinic sources. What are the implications to understanding that in rabbinic literature, it points to the dead as the owners of their funeral, from the beginning of the funeral till the covering of the grave? How are our lives altered with an understanding that the aninut period, from our last breath till the covering of the grave, what Tony Walters, Professor Tony Walters of the Death Studies Department in Bath University in England, calls from our biological death to our sociological death? What would we say if we understand that that falls under the ownership of the dead? Not the property of the mourners or the community, but rather the dead themselves. If we understand ritual as a sacred act, from scared to sacred, if we understand ritual as a sacred act, if we perceive our funeral as a sacred drama, then we are left with these questions. Who writes the script of the sacred drama of our funeral? I claim that we all have roles in this sacred drama. For a moment, don't think not. The dead in the first act. The dead, they're the main actor. It's their name on the billboard. The family, those obligated to bury, kvuat hamet, they're supporting actors. And all of us present that are there to escort the dead, levayat hamet, we're also supporting actors. Then we shift to the second act, once the grave is covered. In the second act, the main actors are the mourners, the avelim. The dead are now a supporting actor. All those present, we're no longer escorters. Rather, we have changed our costumes and we are now comforters because we are now comforting the mourners. Truth be told, other than the dead, all present are understudies for the dead. Because the truth is that there will be a moment at a funeral that our own funerals will flash in front of our eyes. We hear our eulogies, we see our family crying. So I return to my question. In the sacred drama of our own funeral, who is the playwright? Who is the director? The producer? Who casts the actors? Who does our funeral belong to? Does it belong to us, the dead, the family, the intimate friends, the community? I'm here to ask you to claim the totality of your life and all that belongs to you until your last moment. I ask you to claim your funeral, to be the playwright of your own drama, to punctuate the last sentence of your life. If you're sofer, 2 dots are sof pasuk, the end of a pasuk. If you're a literature person, then maybe it's opening up for a sentence that hasn't been completed. If you're asking me, I indeed have written out my funeral and my tombstone. So I want no eulogies. If you haven't shared what you think about me until now, like my funeral is like not the time to do it. So I'm inviting you. You're welcome to still tell me what you think about me. Nice things, I hope, but I'll take tochacha, rebuke as well. I have a list of nigunim, chants that I want to be sung. I ask for people to come dressed in white or in Shabbat clothes, to not be sad, rather to hold the consciousness of escorting me home, my sacred home, my ultimate home. And I ask for women to also carry my beer, no matter how much you have to pay the Chevra Kadisha to bribe them. My tombstone says Reb Mimi on it, with no last name. While also belonging to my birth family in my lifetime, I primarily belong to my soul children and students, my Talmidim, as they are the keepers of my soul and my Torah in the world. And hence, I am Reb Mimi with no last name. I want them to feel that they have come home when they stand where I lay. So by now, you have heard what I consider both of Ariela's funerals, the ritualizers and her parents. You've heard of Yuda Eli and of mine, but these are only examples. The questions here are you going to claim your ownership over your funeral? Who are your primary mourners? Who do you belong to? Who is your birth family? Who is your soul family? How can your funeral reflect your life and be an affirmation of your life? Will you make sure that you arrive at your own funeral? Will you allow your loved ones to bury you with peace of mind, that they are burying you in a manner that honors you and removes their self-doubt in this regard? So I know that it sounds daunting to plan your funeral, and you may be scared, but you're not alone. We're all here together right now. I'm extending an invitation to move beyond the scared and claim what is yours. I invite you to claim the sacred of your life, and don't let being scared deny you of your sacred. If you have a financial portfolio, how can you not have a soul portfolio? Write your funeral in your image. Once a year, along with your annual physical checkup, have an annual soul checkup. Perhaps Tish'a B'Av now is your annual kever and soul checkup. Take it out and read it. Is it still how you want to be buried? Are your designated actors still able to fulfill their roles? If yes, fold it up and put it away. And if no, you have time to alter your manuscript. On the cusp of life, from scared to sacred, as the title of my forthcoming book, God willing, our tradition grants us the totality of our lives, from birth until the covering of the grave. Will you claim that which is yours? And yes, I trust that if you know how you want to be buried, you also know how you want to live. Bri Rachamana, Malka de Alma, Ima Ila'a, Divine Mother, one and only, may we merit to live as Avraham Avinu, who in the words of the Deged Machane Ephraim, Avraham ba bayamim, ba im kol hayamim. When the pasuk says Abraham zaken ba bayamim, Abraham is old, is an elder, and he comes with his days. The Regel BaKever, the Hasidic master, the grandson of the Baal Shem Tov, says he comes with all his days. Imagine not coming to the end of the day saying, this day never happened. He comes with all of his days. May we merit like Avraham, to live like Avraham Avinu, to come with each and every one of our days. May our courage to walk with Regel BaKever, 1 foot in the grave, be our next step in our joined sacred journey.
Thank you so much, Reb Mimi.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have to tell you and everybody else here today that there's a moment when you sit Shiva and the Shiva is over and you don't know, how do you continue from there? How do you get up? And when my Abba passed away, Rabbi David Zeller, then Mimi, you came and walked in the door on our last day of the Shiva. And that move from scared to sacred, from not knowing how to take that step and how to move and how to get up. And you were there with us. And I'm remembering that as you speak. And I thank you for your moving words. And I want to say to everybody, normally events, we invite important people like Rib Mimi to speak about death and dying. And we sit there and we hear them. And their words, they move through our heart. They move us deeply. Maybe even we have tears in our eyes, like I found hearing your words, Mimi. But this event is different because the heart of the event is not the keynote speaker. The heart of this event is each and every one of you doing your work. And when we wrote the invitation, we invited you to come either with another person. It could be a spouse or a child or a parent or a friend or on your own. And after we learn a Midrash together that I will share, and you should have all received this page as well, the heart of the event is the moment that we shut off our cameras, or we can leave them on if we need assistance, and we work. We take 15 minutes to be with each other and to speak about it. There are a lot of projects. Death Cafe is one of them, where people go and speak with people they don't know about death or dying. But here we want us to speak with the most important people in our life about our death and about our dying. And I also want to take a moment, first of all, just to say that besides Reb Mimi, we have here my dear partner who's been through this with me for the past couple of years, Rabbi Mike Schultz, who will soon also speak a little bit about Livyat Chen, and Rabbi Daniel Silverstein, who we've been friends for a very long time and has joined in on this project, and YCT, Yeshivat Chovevei Torah, and all of you who have held this space and made this possible. I'm so honored to have all of you with me. I'm going to share a sheet now that you should have received, and if you didn't, we will send it again. Can everybody see this? Okay. What happened on Tisha B'Av? Usually the answer is that the temple was destroyed, both temples historically. The first temple by the Babylonians, the second temple by the Romans on the same day. But some other things happened that day. And the Midrash that we just read about this in this week's portion was that when the people of Israel walked through the desert, they sent spies to see the land. When the spies came back and spoke badly and said, we can't do it, it's terrible, and everybody cried, and they cried that night. And the Midrash says, Balayla hu, that night, because it wasn't just any night that they cried. Because when they cried, a decree was sent forth that said, all of the generation who left Egypt will die in the desert, and only your children who are born will go into the promised land. You know, we read the Torah all year round. We go from the beginning all the way to the end. But a second before, the Torah finishes with Moses is dying, but we don't go into the promised land. We keep on walking in this desert for 40 years. And this is a Midrash that when I read this, I said, Tisha B'Av is not just about Jerusalem or the temple or senseless hatred, although all and every one of these are very important, but it is also about our mortality. So I would like to read with you this Midrash from Eicha Rabbah, an ancient Midrash. And here's what the Midrash says. Every eve of Tisha B'Av, Moses would announce, "Go out and dig your graves." And each and every person would go out and dig a grave in which they would sleep that night. In the morning, another announcement would be made. Let the living separate from the dead. And then everyone who still had life in them would rise and climb out of their grave. When I read this Midrash, I said, the Midrash is telling us that the first thing that happened on Tisha B'Av was that we had an actual embodied act that we would dig a grave and go to sleep in it. There's a teaching that says that the Torah is written on parchment and it's written with black ink, and the teaching says that the black ink is black fire, but that the space between the letters is as important as what is written, and it's called white fire. And when I read this Midrash yesterday in the community of the Beit in Riverdale over Shabbat, so the space between that they would dig a grave and sleep that night to in the morning, they would get up and get out of the grave. There's a big space there. And I thought to myself, what happened that night? What did they go through? What were they thinking? And this is what we're going to do in our next step. But before we do that, I want to invite my dear, dear friend, Rabbi Daniel Silverstein, to speak and to guide us through a guided meditation after learning this Midrash.
Hello. Thanks, Reb Mordechai. Thank you for inviting me to be part of this very special event. Also, the AGS community. I see so many of you here. The Applied Jewish Spirituality community. It's great to be included in this. And actually, it's very, very touching for me personally to put that together with the Chovevei community, the YCT community. So thanks everyone who's holding this space for us. So I'm going to ask us, as Mordechai said, we're going to do a brief guided visualization, imagining what it's like for us to actually experience this. So I'm going to ask you to bring your attention inside yourself, let your body be comfortable for just a few short minutes, and begin to notice what's going on inside ourselves. If you want to close your eyes, might help you do this. And begin to notice whatever physical sensations or emotions or thoughts might be going on inside. See if we can be as friendly and compassionate and welcoming as possible to whatever we notice is going on. And for just a few minutes, we're going to imagine that we are the people that the Midrash we just learned is discussing. We are the people who left Mitzrayim, Egypt, the place of constriction.
We're watching something. What time do you think we want to leave tomorrow? I'm trying to.
Rabbi Daniel, you're muted now too yourself.
Thank you. A whole generation who were told that we won't reach the promised land. And Moses comes to us on the eve of Tisha B'Av. And just imagine what it was like to receive that news. Imagine that we're in the shoes of those people, probably the very flimsy sandals of those people, being told, tonight you're going to dig a grave and you're going to get in it. And some of you will get out and some of you won't. And that's what happened every year. for those 40 years until that whole generation, those who were meant to be left behind in the desert were left behind. And those who got up and out, and went into the promised land. So just imagine receiving that news. Imagine what it does to you, feel what it does to you, to know that you're going to dig your grave tonight. Noticing whatever's arising, compassion, letting go of any judgment. There's absolutely no right or wrong response, feeling, or thought. If it feels safe and appropriate for you, see if you can continue imagining yourself actually digging the grave itself, digging knowing that you're going to soon climb in and not know if you're going to get up out again. Again, holding ourselves with compassion, care, letting go of any judgment. And if we can, imagining ourselves lying there under the starry desert sky, looking up from the grave to the sky, not knowing if we're going to see the morning or not. And if there are things that come to us that we wish we had done, that we could do, that you and me, who are not actually lying in that grave right now, still can do, let's give them attention, cherish them and notice them. Some things are worth paying attention to and giving energy to. These very likely are those things. These are the things that come to us in these moments when we're focused on reality, the finitude of our lives, the reality of the human condition we spend so much energy avoiding. So if anything came to us, make a note of it, record it, write it somewhere, and make sure we come back to it later. I'll pass it back to Reb Mordechai for now.
Thank you, Rabbi Daniel. Thank you. And I'm also honored to have you share with this and happy to be one of the teachers at AJS and to see our community here. Rabbi Mike, I'd like to ask you to speak a little bit about the exercise before we send people off to do that work.
Thank you so much, Rav Mordechai, and for the opportunity to be here with everybody. To say in one brief sentence, so I have the privilege of working for Yeshivat Chovevei Torah, which is sponsoring this event, to help lead their Livyat Chaim effort in Israel. Our effort to really strengthen rabbinic pastoral caregiving in Israel, where it's not as much of a built-in to rabbinical work, but to train for that, to provide the support and supervision, to enable rabbis and people who are all around them to get the best kind of pastoral care possible. So what we're going to do right now is ask everybody to Ellie, if you can actually focus in on the conversation exercise first. I want to thank also Ellie for all the technical help on our event. So if you're sitting next to somebody, or if you're able to talk to somebody in these next few minutes, here are some questions that we wanted to suggest that might be of interest, that might be something that would help you and the people close with you go in even a little bit closer to understanding each other, to understanding ourselves. If today were your last day, what thoughts or feelings do you think would arise? And what might you choose to do, together or apart? Or already from today, can you imagine preparing for your own death? And what does that preparation look like, as Rubnimi gave us an important push to work on, at least once a year, to do a kind of check-in? The Midrash implies that once a year is that right rhythm for confronting our mortality. What do you think? Is that often enough, or perhaps too often? Some people just thinking about it sends us into a real tizzy. What rhythm feels right to both of you? And what could help you face the reality of your own death? What makes it easier and what makes it harder? Right? Part of what we're doing here is taking that moment to face our mortality, and with all the challenges and with all the potential benefits. If you're not sitting next to somebody, or if it just works better for you to do it in writing, so let's look over at the writing questions. I'm looking back on my last day before digging my grave. What did that day look like? I'm digging my grave. What thoughts come to mind as I dig? I'm lying in my grave. What do I think about during that night? The night that symbolizes for us something that is part of our everyday reality. We don't know for sure if we'll wake up in the morning. What do we think about when we face that possibility, when we face our mortality? When we're spiritually and metaphorically lying in the grave? If I could have one more day, what would I ask to do? Who would I spend it with and how? Morning came. This year I didn't die, but there's no guarantee the same thing will hold true next Tisha B'Av. What will stay with me from this long dark night? So we want to ask everybody to spend the next 15 minutes either with somebody close to you or with ourselves. If it makes sense, probably turn off your video, and we'll give you a heads up as the time is coming close. Our staff is also here. If anybody feels the need to reach out, you can do so by chat, and
Or
we
by
will
raising your hand.
or by raising your hand, and we will reconvene here in 15 minutes.
Hello, everybody. I'm inviting you all to quietly, briefly all of these conversations that you're hopefully having with one another can and will continue. Sometimes today is just an opening for those conversations that never really end. Sometimes even after we die, we keep having conversations that we began years ago. And if you're writing something, take another second or two, and you can get back to it after. But now I'd like to invite everybody to open your cameras again and to gather together. This isn't an easy thing to do, not to speak about it and not to write about this. And every year we see in the event at this point that the numbers sometimes, some people leave as well because it's not easy. And I know also that everybody in Israel, we're at the end of a long fast. So I hope it was meaningful, because what you spoke about is less important than speaking. And what you wrote is less important. Not that it's not important, it's very important and it's beautiful. And if anybody would like to share on our Regel BaKever Facebook page or in the chat something that you wrote or drew, I see Yana sent something beautiful. And if there's anything that you'd like to share, please do it. The group is too big to start collecting from people. But if you'd like to share on our Facebook page some things that came up or write to us, we are here. But I'd like to go back to the source sheet for a second. This is from a Japanese Zen poem from a book actually translated by Yoel Hofmann, who's an Israeli writer who died 2 years ago. And he translated these Zen poems that often were written on the day or the hour before a person died. And this is the one we chose for this year. And I'll read it and let it ring true in our hearts. Empty-handed I enter the world, and barefoot I leave it. My coming, my going, two simple happenings that got entangled. We all die. Dying isn't a Jewish thing, or a Buddhist thing, or a Zen thing. It's just something that touches us so deeply on our shared humanity. And every year, as we read the Midrash, we like to share it a little bit and to see how other people have seen it in other traditions. And the last thing I'll bring in with this will end for this year, and hopefully we'll have you all join us in the following years as well. But if you could go up a little bit, Donald Winnicott, who was a famous psychoanalyst from England, in one of the last things he wrote to himself, this was never published, Claire, his widow, found it after he died. And he wrote to himself, he was planning on writing a book, and he wrote, prayer. This is what he wrote to himself. God, may I be alive when I die. What a prayer that is, to be alive when we die. So often we say about people, they died in their sleep. And I say, death is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Let's try to be awake. And being awake isn't just about the night that it happens. It starts now. It starts on Tisha B'Av. It starts in our ability to speak to the people we love about this important part of our life, our death. Let's keep this conversation going, even if it's once a year. Make this part of your annual ceremony. Make time for this in your day-to-day life, in your intimate connections, in your writing, in whatever it is you are doing in your life. I'd like to invite any of my colleagues, if it's Rabbi Mike, if it's Rabbi Daniel, if it's Rabbi Mimi, to say a couple of parting words. and then we will say goodbye until we meet again next year.
Thank you. Take that opportunity. I really love the quote from Winnicott because I think that he's really talking about, at least for me, he's talking about something that is from now until the moment that we die. How can we keep living? How can we live every day of our lives? How can we be Baba Yamim? How can we come with all of our days? How can we each day find the opportunities for that day to be alive during our day, to bring our living, our vitality, and it's even at the hard times, even in old age, even in physical disability, even as death is approaching, how can we stay alive? How can we stay alive every day with the opportunities that it brings?
Daniel, would you like to share something? Mimi?
The one thing I would like to share right now is that in a moment, we're all going to go offline and back into our worlds. So I want to invite you to take a moment to look at the screen, to remember that we're not alone, and that there is someone on this that has been here in our learning together, that we've shared this time together with, that you can reach out to say, we shared that night, we dug together, we came back together, and to know that we have each other and we're here, even when our screen goes quiet, because going through life can never be alone. We need each other. It's not only a question of what we want, it's what we need. And when God says, "Lo tov hayot ha'adam levado," it's not good for humanity to be alone. I believe God is saying, "Lo tov li hayot li levadi." God is saying, it's not good for me to be alone, and therefore I create a world. So when the screen goes blank, to know that we're not alone and we have each other.
Thank you, Reb Mimi. And I see all the beautiful things that you're writing and sharing with us. And Rabbi Daniel, if there's any last word you'd like to say before we end this event for this Tisha B'Av.
Thank you. The thing that's really coming up for me through this beautiful work we're doing together, thank you again for the chance to be a part of it, is courage. It takes courage to, as Reb Mike just said, to really live every day. And as Reb Mimi just said, to really not live it alone, to reach out to people when we need to. So easy to slip into solipsism, into isolation, into whatever we've got going on. And may we be blessed with the courage, and may we also help each other to cultivate the courage to go through it together and to really make the most of every day. And thank you for the opportunity to be with all of you.
Thank you, everyone. And thank you for everybody behind the scenes. Thank you, Corvin, for the captions. And thank you for everybody at YCT for believing in this event and supporting us and supporting this dream that happened 6 years ago and is growing. And I hope that you will be part of this growing community. Look for us on Facebook and write to me if you have things to share. And may we meet again, Be'ezrat Hashem, soon. Blessings to everybody from the heart of this Tisha B'Av, from my heart to yours, from our broken hearts. May something beautiful grow from the cracks between them. We say in the Torah, tzedek, tzedek tirdof, but I say tzedek, tzedek tirdof. Where there's a crack, something beautiful is growing. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Good night and good day to everybody who's still fasting. Shalom, shalom, shalom.